When it comes to trying to make your house more efficient, real low-hanging fruit is blowing in more insulation. That's what I'm going to do.
When we talk about the R value of insulation, that is the resistance to conductive heat flow. That means how much heat transfers through it. So if you want your house to be warmer, you want to keep the heat in. If you want it to be colder, you want to keep the heat out. The higher number equals more resistance. Attics typically are in the R30 to R60 range, depending on what part of the country that you're in. My attic right now is about an R19. We've noticed that the upstairs is about 10 degrees warmer in the summertime than the downstairs. So we want to add to this pitiful amount of insulation in our attic and take it to about an R50. Most attics are vented, which means there are vents usually in the soffit that run up to either a roof vent or a ridge vent. And those are there to have air flow through and the heat to transfer out, and that keeps moisture from building up in the attic. It is extremely important that you don't blow insulation over those soffit vents. So as you can see here in my attic, I was lucky enough that they had blown in insulation already and put cardboard baffles where the soffits are. So I can't blow insulation down on those unless I really try to. There's also boards built up around the opening so the insulation doesn't fall out into the hallway. If you have recessed lighting, which means the lights stick up into the attic, you don't want the insulation to touch up against those because they can get hot. So you can either build or buy an enclosure that goes around those kind of lights. You can either make it out of cardboard or foam board or buy prefabbed ones that go on there. You just make sure they go on and seal, and that keeps the insulation away from them. So I bought a pallet of this cellulose blow-in insulation. Cellulose is basically recycled newspapers and other kind of paper that is treated with a fire retardant and insect killer. On the package is a grid, and that grid helps you determine how much of this you need to buy to achieve the R value that you desire. Now, in my attic, I am currently about here, and I want to be down around here. So if we follow the grid across, I know that when I'm done blowing it in, it needs to be about 15 inches deep. I put these cardboard rulers that came free from Home Depot up around the attic, and that lets me know how deep I am at various places that I choose in the attic so I can try to keep it even all the way through. We rented this machine, or actually we got it free with the pallet of insulation for a day. Now inside is a grinder. That grate is supposed to keep your hands out of it, but be careful anyway. The directions are right on the machine. Like I said, keep your hands out. We ran the hose upstairs through an upstairs window and then up into the attic. It came with about 100 feet of hose. What ended up happening, unfortunately, is it started to rain, so we had to move everything inside. As you can see, the dust flying. I will explain more about that later. The key here is you break the bales up into as smaller pieces as you can and feed it into the machine. And those paddles will move it around and force it through the machine. It's basically a reverse vacuum cleaner. And it will blow through that hose. The better you break it up, the better it comes out the other end. It's super dusty and you don't want to breathe that, so wear a mask. The goal for me up in the attic is to try to keep the flow of that, if you can, parallel with the rafters. And you want it to blow out and fall down like snow around the attic because that keeps it fluffy. And the fluffiness is what you want. You do not want to compact it down if possible. And when you are done, you want to have an even, fluffy field of insulation. This was my first time ever doing this, so it was not too bad, not difficult. We spent about 4 hours because that machine was not the greatest as far as flow goes. When I mentioned earlier about moving the machine inside, it blew so much dust up into the air that we spent hours cleaning dust off of everything in the house. It was bad. So beware of that if you have to put it in the house. Did it make a difference? Absolutely. Our upstairs is now much closer to the temperature of the downstairs. it was actually a more dramatic change than I thought that it would be. Hope this helps. Thanks for watching.